Yo, 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 ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Unprofessional Breakdown. And today's guest is the one and only Larry Folsom. You guys may see him around Combat Night and other MMA events refereeing. You may have seen him recently at the UFC in Jacksonville refereeing. And Larry, man, what's up, brother?
Living the dream, man. Living the dream.
You are definitely living the dream. Just I'm gonna jump right into it, man. Tell me about when you first started refing. Like how long have you been a ref now?
The first combat night in Tallahassee, January of 2012. Uh, Mitchell and Shamali Hashimim were putting it on. Mitchell was a judo training partner of mine, so I called him. I said, "Hey, let me follow your referee around and see what's up." He said, "Sure," and the rest is history.
Man, so it's been what, 10 years?
Coming up on 10, so like 9 now, I think.
Man,
Yeah,
that's
2012.
9 years refing, man. And I bet you've seen a lot of craziness, a lot of craziness. Tell me about the process on becoming a ref. You know, what it's for anybody out there that actually listens to the show, watches the show. What is the process on becoming a Florida State athletic um referee?
First of all, you have to get amateur refereeing experience, and they require. They say 2 years of that, but I don't know if that translates to a number of matches or a number of, because you could do 2 years and only do two events in
Yeah.
that time, or you could do like we do every other month or so. Actually, this month I have one tomorrow, and I've had 2 weekends.
So what's that process like? Does the state contact you
Yes.
and they say
You
be here at
After you got your experience, then you have to trail referee. We have to apply for a license first, and then you have to
okay.
trail referee a number of events, and then the commission will put you in for a fight eventually, and then it's a slow process, very very slow process. Yeah, probably the hardest part for most people would be finding an amateur organization to referee for. That's that's the first step.
Yeah, because I mean, other than Combat Night and a few other events, I think like two other, you're not gonna find a lot of active shows out there.
That is correct.
So the state says, Larry, are you up? Can you come into this event on this date? Do you confirm there or okay?
They'll send an email out to all the officials with the assignments, and we respond either that we can do it or we can't do it. If we can do it, then they will send us another email in a little bit telling us when to be there.
It's just like that. Now, can
Like,
can you ref
well,
outside of
it's
Flo?
like that,
Yeah.
it's like that for regular events. For UFC, that was crazy. There was, whoo, I was getting emails
How did you get that
uh,
call?
the exact same way. I got an email from the boxing commission saying, "Hey, are you available to work this event?" And I said, "Yes, I am."
And how was that feeling? That was your UFC refereeing debut, right?
Yes, and my first UFC refereeing gig.
What was that
Uh,
feeling like, man, when you got that email?
it was crazy exciting. It's um, it's kind of good to get out there and rub elbows and like work at another level. If you're training and you're training at the same level all the time,
Yeah.
and then you go to train at a different place, you've got to raise your game.
Yes, sir.
I feel like I got to raise my game now, or I had to raise my game for the UFC event. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I can tell you that you look handsome not only on Combat Night streaming, but on the big screen at the UFC with all their high level cameras. You look very, very handsome.
Thank you. Thank you very
so
much.
so you get the call, you get the email, you confirm, you arrive at the venue. I guess you guys, is there like a athletic state commission meeting or
Yes, at the event generally, but for this event, uh, we had to show up on Friday to get COVID tested, and then we were quarantined to our room, the hotel until the morning when our COVID tested test, excuse me, COVID test results came back, and then we had to go down and get another armband, and then we could do pretty much what we wanted to do at that point. But yeah, we were quarantined to our rooms the night before.
Man, uh, man, that's I didn't know. Nobody knew anything. And then when I was like, what the heck? That's Larry. Whoa, snap. That's pretty awesome, man. What was that feeling
It
like
really
the first, just the first match the first fight that you ref and you're there and then, you do your thing. It just became
once
normal.
yeah, once I got in there and said, let's do it, then you just do what you do. Then
Man,
it's
that's
not a lot of difference between that and any place else.
that's awesome, man. And now what did you see that's like, I mean, UFC is the pinnacle, right? That's just like everything.
Craziness.
Did you see any differences, compared to what you used to as far as like, the boss man, Dana White, and how his interactions, or has it all just been the same?
I didn't interact with him at all. I saw him there, but I didn't have any conversations with him or anything like that. Um, I will say that the officiating at an event like that is definitely more regimented than any other one. That you've got a certain place you're supposed to stand. You got to walk out to a certain place. You look for the guy to make sure that he puts his hand down for the commercial is over, and it's and then there's cameras everywhere and lights and people screaming at you.
Well, you must be used to people screaming at you. You got the crowd screaming at you, the corners shouting at you, like, "Hey, ref, what the heck?"
But I'm kind of glad that the crowd is back now, so I can't hear the corners quite as well now.
Yeah,
That's but seriously, I can't hear. Really, when I get in there, I hear just noise in the crowd. I don't translate it into any words or anything like that. So people could be yelling whatever, and I don't even hear it.
yeah. When I'm in there and then we've been in there together,
Yeah,
I try to listen to my coach, and that's it. Everything else is like Charlie Brown's teacher, womp womp. But one person that's voice always stands out is Brandy. Brandy's voice,
yeah.
that sharp country voice of Brandy.
Wow.
Brandy, I love you. Always stands out. Hit it with a low leg kick. I'm like, okay, and it just, that voice is always, I always hear that voice, man. And it's just like, that's the only, other than my coaches and stuff like that, like her voice always stands out when at those events, man. But I've seen, the rules meeting is my favorite, especially when you go over the rules, because you go over the rules, and those that have fought or have more than one fight should already know the rules. How do you? I have a certain opinion, and tell me what you think. We're in the back. We listen to your rules, right? You're talking. You're firm. You're serious about the rules. But then, like, we got these fighters that hold on to the cage when they're about to get taken down. Me, I'm not a ref or nothing. This is just my opinion. Every time I see that, especially at a high level, like these guys have like 12 plus fights. Like, man, why you holding on to the cage? Like, you should know better. You know, do you think a warning is? You think that suffice at that level?
It all depends on what effect it has. That's what I look at it. If I can correct the problem by just making him lose that position, like if he's holding somebody up against the cage and he wants to stay there, he's grabbing the cage, I take the position from him. Um, really, the only time I would take a point is that when it affects the outcome of what happens and you can't recreate it or you can't correct it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like
Now,
if somebody grabbed the cage and they remain standing, you can't really correct that and say what it would have ended up on the ground. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense, or is that confusing?
it's making sense. Now, does it have to be repetitive, or
I
would you be willing to take a point away at the first instance without a warning?
I can't imagine that I would do that. I've never done it, so
Yeah. Because I feel like, you know, pro athletes or even amateurs, man, if you have a lot of fights, you've been there before, you've been to the rules, like, man, you know the rules, man. Like, you know the rules. Like, don't hold on to the cage. That's like one of my biggest things that I really, really don't like. I feel like most of the time it changes the momentum of the fight. Because they get
yeah.
lifted up, boom, they hold on to the cage, they get a warning. I seen some refs slap the hands, but it's just that, warnings. And then eventually if they kept doing the repetitive, then obviously to take away a point. And that's about it. That's like the only question I wanted to ask you about the rules, man, because I guess every
Like grabbing fences.
grabbing
That
fences,
was
I
it.
hate it. I hate it.
Oh,
Obviously the eye pokes as well. Most of the time it's a mistake, but I feel like there's some fighters out there that kind of use it as an advantage for a break, especially when they have their hands out like that. Like, I mean, come on, with sparring, to keep your hands up, you know,
mhm.
but that's another one there, but that's that gray area going, discussing that because I don't know, man. Now they implement the rules too, like the unified rules they have where your hands got to be pointed up, right?
Well, you cannot have your fingers at first. You cannot have your fingers extended basically when you're moving forward.
Okay.
So if you're measuring the distance and coming forward, you can't have your fingers extended.
Yeah, that's
Does that
one
make
of
sense?
yeah, that makes perfect sense, and that's another one there that I'm like, but the grabbing of the fence is one that really irks me, man. It just irks me every single time,
Yeah.
when they grab the fence because I feel like, especially if you have more than 3 fights, you're like, the rules, you're listening to the rules. We don't eye gouge, right? We don't fish hooks, but don't hold the cage, man.
Getting ready to get slammed, it's just instinct.
Yeah, I guess,
But
maybe they're not getting slammed enough while they're sparring or whatever the case may be.
uh, then that's what separates amateurs from professionals.
Yeah, the
Grab
amateurs from the professionals. Some professionals hold the cage. But tell us a little bit about your martial arts background. I know, because I've known you through many years. But what is your martial arts background, and when did you
I
start?
started judo when I was about 12 years old. Uh, I started at the Tallahassee Cumberland Cots in Norfolk Mall here in Tallahassee, and did judo pretty much in my early 20s. And then when I got a job and a family and all stuff like that, I kind of slacked off on training for a while. And then in 2005, the first Ultimate Fighter TV show came out, and I went to do that. And I went brown belt, it's a brown belt at this point. I went back to my same sensei, Bobby Fukushima, and very shortly thereafter, I got my black belt judo. I have second degree black belt judo now. Um, then Bobby was teaching a class at Knox Community College. It was a judo class, but it was a credit physical education class.
Hmm.
So every 3 months it started over again for me. So it was kind of like round for people, and so I had nobody to train with. And so that's when I started seeking out doing jiu-jitsu. The only judo on was ACC back then, and so training with a guy that came to Tallahassee from McLean named Felipe Neto Zero.
Zekro. Yes.
You know? And I was there when school was just one of those units. And then on there, we knocked out the wall. We took over both of them, and now we bought another building. And we're in our own building, and it's one of the first places I trained in that had air conditioning, let alone that would actually turn the air conditioning on.
Yeah.
Uh, so I got a black belt from Felipe. Uh, get my first strike this November, probably.
Awesome,
Uh,
man. And Felipe is a black belt under Jacare, right?
Zachary
Romero.
Cabo,
Yeah.
Team Alliance.
Awesome, man. So you've been training jiu-jitsu for a while now, right?
Yeah. Uh, that's what, 14 years now?
14 years.
14 years, I guess.
14 years
Uh,
under Felipe. And I tell
all
you
that I'm.
what, all his black belts are top level guys, man. So that's the highest of the highest honors, man. That's awesome. That's so
Dude,
that's pretty good.
he don't give away a belt.
Yeah,
He,
I know.
you earn it. He don't give away nothing. So yeah,
It's
yeah,
he still has the old school way of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I like that.
yes,
My
yes.
instructor, my instructors like that as well. David Lozen over at Dark Wolf MMA. Real old
Yep.
school. I love the old school aspect of it. It's real simple fundamentals. I love it. It's
Basic.
awesome jujitsu. I love basic jujitsu. It's great. I don't have time to do fancy stuff. I'm not into the fancy stuff.
Yeah. What I actually tell people, especially when they're getting ready, when they're new and when testing time is going to start coming up, I start telling people, I say, pay attention to the steps. He's going to teach you how to do this move in steps. Pay attention to him because that's what he's going to want to see when he takes the test. When you take the test,
Yeah.
he's going to want to see this, the whole thing in sequence. So if you pay attention to the steps, you'll do well. And also, when he's testing, he wants to see you do the techniques that he taught you. He doesn't want to see some buggy cook that you saw on YouTube.
On YouTube.
He wants to see what he taught. So basics. He's very top heavy crusher. The secret crush is what we call it.
Good, man. Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to train with him, but I know Mitchell training with him, and he's yeah.
You will want to tap from the neon belly. You'll give him an arm so he can armbar you, and you can tap with
Yeah,
some
like get off of me here. Take this instead.
I've had plenty here. Take
this. I've been there, man. I've been there. That's terrible. From the old school guys too. You know, it's just a whole different game. Jiu-Jitsu is just evolving now. Now they're trickling down to doing all foot locks and no submissions, and that's cool. I mean, foot locks always been there, but it's just bigger now. Way bigger now than what it was. I mean, even for me when I started like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. But it's taking a game. But I love it. I love jiu-jitsu, man. And going back to reffing, I can tell when a ref is either trained jiu-jitsu or is a black belt jiu-jitsu or brown belt or just a high level jiu-jitsu, because when guys go on the ground, you see these refs, the guys passing from half guard, from quarter mount to mount, and then some rough, all right, touch the back and stand it up, and we're like all screaming at the TV, or we're what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? You know, and there's guys like you, black belt, high level like you see what's going on, so you let it ride out. Now, obviously, if they're stalling, like some people do, then that's when you come in. And I've seen, man, like 20 plus fights where you're waiting, the guy's advancing, he's landing some strikes, right? He's advancing, trying to pass, and you let it go. Also, I've seen you where guys are just stalling, and you look, you give them an opportunity to move, they don't do anything, and then you stand it back up.
I tell them, let's work. I say, let's work. That's my cue.
Yeah, let's work.
I said, if I tell you let's work, then I'm bored with what you're doing, and you need to start doing something if you want to start it. So.
Awesome. And real quick before I get off, I want to say thank you for not only taking the time to talk to little old me, but also taking the time out of your day to send me messages about certain fights that I've commentated, meaning that you're watching my stuff. So I'm like, every event goes by, I'm like, oh, Larry's here? Oh, okay, good. That's a challenge for me. Now I really got to step it up as I'm learning in this game as well. So thank you for taking the time out and sending me those messages, man. I really appreciate it. Because sometimes, like, I don't see what you see. Even though I'm there, I can't, because of the cage or the angle or the camera, I can't see what you see. So if I don't reach out to the refs or you reach out to me, then I don't really know what's going on. And I'm like, hey, man, I can't see what's going on. But you take the time out to send me a message to know, for that I can know. And I love that, man. And that's...
I want you to know what I'm doing. So because the crowd's going to listen to you. They're not listening to me at all. So if you say, what is Larry Folsom doing? They're going to go, I know, right? What is he doing?
Yeah.
But, if I explain to you what I'm doing, then you go, okay, the reason he does this is because of this and this and this.
And I can learn from that.
In fact, before we had this, before the UFC event, we all the referees got together and we just made sure we were all on the same page of something, for the rules of how we were going to do things, because we knew that, if Joe Rogan, he's not afraid to make you look silly.
Yeah. Yeah, and my approach, and the reason why I think Mitchell and Ramsey brought me on, is because I'm brutally honest. Even if I have a teammate that's fighting, I'm just like, because that's just my personality. I'm very honest. You either like it or you don't like it.
On my own teammates.
What was that?
I'm harder on my own teammates.
Oh, yes. You have to be. I get more nervous, but you have to be. But before I let you go, what advice can you give the young fighters, or not even young fighters, these young folks that want to be even an official? What kind of advice can you give them to for the
But
future when they upcoming fights or if they're wanting to be an official?
it all starts out through the amateur rank. Just like fighting, you got to fight amateur first before you fight pro. You got to referee amateur first before you can referee pro. There's no way around it.
That's it. Real simple, short and sweet. Mr.
Yeah,
Larry Folsom, thank you very much for taking the
cool.
time out of the day. Your beard it just gets more and more beautiful. And
More awesome.
hopefully I'll see you at the next event, brother. Thank you very much.
All right, man.
Peace out.